State under President Obama. Joel Rubin. Joel is with me here in the Situation Room. Joel, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks,
when you see that report, what's your immediate reaction?
Immediately, first of all, the people on the ground. We always have to remember that in wars, it means people die. And so for our service members who were killed, we should think of them as well as the people in Iran. But what it also means is that we have to be planning right now for the post-conflict scenario, not just the military strategy, which clearly is working and it's quite effective, but also the phase 4, as we call it in the government. What is happening post-conflict? Who are we organizing with to potentially take leadership? And how will the people of Iran not suffer deeply from a post-conflict scenario?
Trump has said now that there won't be an end to this war until Iran accepts an unconditional surrender.
Right.
Is that likely?
The Iranian leadership psychology is completely opposed to that, but that does not mean it is impossible. There are ways to compel that. There are ways to measure whether they will have essentially lost their capacity to fight to then determine that they have capitulated. But the psychology right now in Iran, there's a political leadership vacuum, there's infighting in different factions, so nobody wants to come out looking soft. So you'll hear even Pezeshkian, who's seen as a bit of a moderate in Iranian politics, taking a hard line because he too wants to survive another day.
Yeah, because if he takes a softer line, he could be in trouble.
He's gone. Yeah.
I want to quote from a story that's in the Wall Street Journal. I assume you saw it. And it says this. It talks about how Republican Senator Lindsey Graham traveled to Israel recently and coached the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on how to lobby President Trump for action in Iran. Graham says Netanyahu then showed intelligence to Trump that persuaded him to strike Iran. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, it brings up a lot of concerns because when we have independent senators, members of Congress, freelancing out of regular order, out of the process, out of engaging with their colleagues, we can have misinformation and we can also have decision making based upon lack of full information. So Senator Graham, we have to say honestly, has been an Iran war hawk for decades. This is not new information. But I really hope that the president and his team didn't just engage him, and that they did speak to the leaders of the armed services committees in both chambers and really get input into whether or not we should be going to war, because freelancing by members of Congress can lead to bad outcomes.
Well, we'll see what this led to. The president also told our own Dana Bash that Cuba is going to fall soon. What do you think about that?
The president's clearly feeling it right now. Wolf, you know, after Venezuela and Iran, maybe he believes the waving a magic military wand is the way to solve all of our problems around the world. Now, Cuba is in crisis. The fuel crisis caused in part by our successful takeover of Venezuela's oil infrastructure, that is having an impact. So Secretary Rubio, this is a chance for him to step in and to find a way to move it diplomatically into a path that aligns with our interests without having to use our military always as our weapon of choice.
As you know, there are thousands and thousands of Americans in the Middle East right now who are desperately searching for some way out of the Middle East so they can be safe. State Department says it's trying to help, and Trump has praised the State Department's evacuation efforts, saying that they're very, very good. But a lot of people are wondering, are these efforts so good?
Well, you know, Wolf, I worked as a career officer at the State Department years ago when we invaded Iraq. And in the months leading up to it, there was a variety of planning taking place, including what to do for evacuations and how to take care of the American citizens. I feel like this administration is finally pulling it together, but it was not ready or prepared to get our people out if they wanted to get out. But right now, good. Keep it going. If civilian aircraft, we should be offering up military aircraft as well if American citizens want to get out. But this is something that should have been thought through for months before this actual attack.
It looks like they only started thinking about it after this war was already underway. Joel Rubin, the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, thanks very much for your service. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it very much. And coming up,